Okay. So, very similar to us will be. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we will be as we were on Friday, initially with those in the room with Mark from Sky is with us, and then Ian from TalkSport. Then we'll move on to anyone else who wants to ask under immediate embargo, which will include James from PLP. We'll then embargo the second section until 10:30 on Wednesday night for Thursday's papers, because we play Thursday. I think we're just about ready. I think everyone can hear us. Mark is happy. Is the cameraman happy? Cameraman has said yes, so we'll go with Mark.
Thomas, great to see you in person.
Yeah, likewise, Mike. Good to see you.
The win against Everton, after 5 disappointing results in the Premier League, to get back to 3 points, to get back to a performance like that, how much has that given a real lift and a boost to everyone around the football club after what was a brilliant start to the season?
Yeah, I agree. It was a big win, a massive win. I completely stand by what I believe and think. I think you built confidence from training well every single day, putting in that performances in the day. Secondly, put in performances in the matches, and on top of that, the results. But I also understand the mentality or the psychology of, we haven't won a game, so you need to get over the line and win that game, and then you can keep going and building from that. So what I like is that we train well, we perform well, and now we also got the result we, I think, deserved for a long spell. And it was an even game where I thought that first half, or also after watching it back, we were the better side in first half. Second half, we were not able to put 3 passes together, and Everton put the pressure on us, but we defended like beast with great structure, great aggressivity, and very pleased with that.
You talked about the first half there in particular. Brentford are the team in the league with the worst first half defensive record, having conceded 11 goals.
Yeah.
What does the result against Everton in terms of the clean sheet say about the work you've done defensively and the quality you've shown and displayed? Actually, we can be better with that.
Yeah, definitely. We had a big aim before the season that the defensive side of the game was a big area that we needed to be bang on. I haven't seen one team perform well in the Premier League if they haven't had a top defensive side of their game. We started so well this season in that perspective. For whatever reason, we didn't manage to keep that high level, but this time we put the effort in, showed the mentality, had the structure and the tactical discipline throughout the game, which gave us a well-deserved clean sheet.
Up next, another London derby. You've fared okay so far this season against Arsenal, Palace and Chelsea. So you've had a mixed bag of results. How different will Tottenham be under Antonio Conte? How much, in your analysis, have you seen has changed since he became the boss?
I think Conte is one of the best managers in the world. One thing is his results, of course, in the different teams he's been in charge of. But there's 2 main things I would say. One thing, they're always very structured, very, very defensive. Solid. Not that they're playing defensively, but they know exactly what they do. And then they just show a top mentality. You can just see his own. I like to see that the team is always reflective of the personality of the manager, and he has a very strong mentality. So that structure on the defensive side of the game, plus that he will learn his mentality in terms of getting them to be a winning team. Hopefully they're not there yet, and we can maybe do something against them on Thursday.
You talk about the structure of an Antonio Conte team. How much does that challenge you as the manager to try and find a way to break that structure?
No, in a way I like teams with structure, because then it's easier for me to analyze and see if we can find solution against that. but of course they're very good to do what they do. But any structure, any style of play has weaknesses, and it's about us to try to explore that. Of course, that's one thing is the system and the style of play. The other thing is the quality of players. And I think I love my players and I trust them. I believe them massively. But we are facing some world-class players, and we will face world-class players again on Thursday against Tottenham.
What's the Brentford team you ahead of the game?
In terms of injuries,
yeah.
Let me think. Same team. The squad from last game, all the players in that squad will be available for this game. No extra news on injured players.
And finally, for me, 13 games in, a third of the Premier League campaign is over with now. What's the one thing that you perhaps learnt about yourself in this time that perhaps you didn't understand or you had to change because of the level change going from the Championship to the Premier League? How's this challenge you perhaps in a way you didn't think it would?
That's a good question. Is that a trick question? I don't know if it changed that much. I would say I was very aware, as I also mentioned before. We like to dominate more on the ball. We like to do it our way. I still think we do it our way, but we try to do it our way in the areas that we control a bit more. For example, the defensive side of the game, because we know we'll defend a bit more in the Premier League. So I also need to understand that it's okay only to defend second half against Everton. I like us to do better there, but it's a learning process, and we are getting better game for game. Welcome.
How are you, Thomas?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Very well. You're up against world-class players, but you did play them in January in the League Cup. So does that give you a head start, an idea on how you're going to play against them?
Yes and no. I think we shown the last couple of years when we faced Premier League teams in the different cups that we're capable of putting out a performance that could, make it fairly even. And of course, the first 13 games also give us a kind of confidence that we will have a chance, that we can discuss how big it is against any team in the Premier League. And we fancy that we have a chance on Thursday. We will definitely go there and be brave, try to do the best we believe in. Again, I think that's the approach every single game. Compared to the game in January, it's a different manager, different system. I know it's the same players, so in terms of how we maybe try to do what we can to get on top of the game, that will maybe be different areas compared to style and system.
What have you made of Spurs this season? Because there was a perception that the players didn't perhaps play for the old manager, Nuno, and yet they lost last Thursday against Team Slovenia, who really they should have beaten on paper anyway.
Yeah.
So what have you made of Spurs?
It's early days in the season. I think we are speaking about a club that have developed and what is the last 2 years, maybe they struggle a tiny bit in terms of their matching their ambitions, which I think is, I don't know, but I think it seems to be top 4 or something like that. They have the stadium, they have the infrastructure, they have the money. I think they have the players. I think maybe in the end it'll be a top 4 side.
Your players are playing against world-class players, but I'm sure your defenders are looking forward to being up against Harry Kane, and your attackers like Ivan Toney, the Spurs defenders. What about you as a manager? You mentioned that Antonio Conte is one of the best in the world, in your opinion. And this season, you're up against, in this league, him, Klopp, Guardiola, Ralph Rangnick now as well. I mean, you're up against, in your profession, some of the best in the world by your own.
Yeah, but that's a privilege and a fantastic challenge. Looking forward to that challenge every single week. Just looking forward to, go out there and compete against them. But in the end of the day, it's 11 players from Brentford against 11 players from Tottenham. And yes, there's 2 managers on the touchline, but there's 11 players who need to do it on the pitch, and that's why I'm privileged to have good players and I trust them.
He's quite fiery, and you're quite fiery. Are we going to have a few fireworks on this? I mean, you are. You're very passionate, and by the way, so is he.
Yeah, if he behaves, I think there'll be no problem. No, I like Conte the way he is on the touchline. I only met him once before when I was assistant for Brentford under Dean Smith, when we made face him in the FA Cup. And of course, I didn't stood up there in trust. I can't remember if they hadn't happened anything. They were fairly on top in that game and won, I think 4-0 or 4-1 or something like that. But he was top class after the game, and that's also what I heard about him. So I think what's happening when the 90 minutes plus extra time is how can I say, going is one thing, but also what's happening before and after is a different thing.
First of all, the spine of your team, from the goalkeeper right through to obviously finishing out to the back, Christian Norgard up to Ivan Toney. It's a strong spine that you've got, and I guess that's what's carried you through the first third of the season and will carry you through the next 2/3.
Yeah, I think no secret. I think is clearly to see what we would like to do on the pitch. We like to play as much as possible our own style of play. I know when you're facing better teams and on the paper more quality players, it can be difficult to be as much on top of the game as we want to. So we want to create a good result in this Premier League, which we want to and achieve to be as high as possible. I think it's very important to be defensive, very good. I think we need to be very good on set pieces. I think we need to be very fit. And we are ticking those 3 boxes. That's very important. But a part of that is also that top mentality. So that top mentality comes from the core of the team because they need to lead it. And I think that's where we are. Well, I'm privileged to have some strong characters in the team.
And last one from me, you mentioned with the structure of Spurs and Antonio Conte, you said that teams are in the manner of the personality of their manager. So what personalities have your team got they've taken from you, Thomas?
You need to ask my players or people looking from the outside. But I hope they see a team that are brave and are positive, playing with big intensity and aggressivity. I hope that's what they see.
If you ask anyone in the room immediately, Jake.
Hi, Jake. I just wanted to ask you, with Zanka, what's the exact issue that he has and how long roughly is it?
It's something behind the knee linked to hamstring issues, and that really he will be assessed weekly. He will not be available for Tottenham. We'll see how long it will take.
And then I just wanted to check in on how Prasad is doing before he's come back.
Doing well. Working hard on the pitch again. It most likely will be what do we have today in 30th. I think we're talking about 3 to 4 weeks still, I think.
And then also wanted to ask about Farouk, because I think he put up a photo on social media. He's had surgery.
Yeah, very unlucky to have a hamstring injury in the training. I got a surgery for it. So that would take a while for him.
And then last one for now, I just wanted to ask you, obviously Antonio Conte also has to play with Grit back. It's obviously something he's been doing throughout the vast majority of the year. So what's going to be the key area on Thursday? Do you think the wide area with the wing backs is going to be, Rico coming up against Emerson Royale and Sergio coming up against so Sergio really.
Yeah, no, I think that's a key battles. I agree with you. I think the wing backs, both sides, both end of the pitch, there'll be key battles to win. No doubt about that. And then I think both teams will try to tweak it a bit to create local superiority. So 4-3, 3-2. I think that would be a big part of it. Thank you. You're welcome.
Sure. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, sure.
Just from me.
Yeah.
I haven't told you saw a fair few more goals than Harry Kane already. Do you see similarities in their games? Do you think he has the mentality to go toe to toe with him, not just necessarily on Thursday, but in the top scorers race as well?
That's a good question. I think Ivan is a fantastic player, and I think he is, how can I say, on his own journey to also be the best possible version of himself. I think he's growing every single day. Very pleased with the way he play. I think it's two top goal scorer. Of course, Harry Kane have proven himself a bit more. He's the leading goal, isn't he? The leading goal scorer for England, I think, or close to be. Close, yeah, he will be. I think it's just, I think, yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. So he will be that in the future, world class striker. I think what they have, both of them, I think they're very good finishers in terms of they are technically very good to finish, and they are very composed and take good decisions. I think that's the key to be a top scorer. On top of that, both of them are very good in the link-up play. Harry Kane is dropping deeper and deeper and setting players up. We've seen that throughout the season from Ivan as well. So two very good players. I think one thing Ivan is better at is penalties.
Just finally for me, I wanted to discuss Kieran Middleton, who obviously you've known for a long time. You said in an interview earlier this year that he had the potential to be one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. Do you think he's a world-class player, or do you think there's still room for him to grow, particularly under great coach like Antonio Conte?
Yeah, I think he's been, since he come to Tottenham, I think he, from day one has performed well, but also, throughout his 2 years, I think, or something like that, just kept growing. And I think he came to Tottenham in a spell where it wasn't as fluid and successful as it was the previous 3 or 4 years. So that makes it always a bit more difficult in that context. I think it's very impressive how he's performed and constantly put an extra layer in his game. I clearly remember I was on the 17 and on the 19 national team coach for him. I remember we played on a 16 game, and after that game against Hungary, I thought, you can be a world-class number 6. But he was a 10 back then, and he needs to understand the defensive side of the game, and he's just developed that. I think, technically, got every pass in him. So composed, you can't take the ball from him. Physically strong, cover a lot of ground, winning his duels, unbelievable, character, mentality, leadership. I think got everything in him to grow and put his game to a high level. Okay.
We're entering the most intense period of the season now. People have been experiencing the championship as a monthly period.
Yes, 100%. There's no doubt that I think actually we played one more game last year in the championship compared to this December, so this is easy going into this one. We know it's going to be intense. I think the big thing that we knew from before the season was that we analyzed and studied was the intensity of the game. So the intensity of the game is high in the Premier League, and number of sprints is also high in the Premier League. So that's 2 bits we've been working very hard on the training ground. The last 3 weeks leading up to this spell of games, we've been adding more sprints in the training. So we knew that we were best possible prepared to be able to hit those sprints in games, because I think it's the intensity of the game that most likely is winning a lot of games. So we are as prepared as we can be, and we can't wait to get into this intense period of games.
If you realize that you have that problem, you don't get 1 point, does that show how much of a great start you have?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's about to have it's about having a positive mindset and try to be brave and believe. And if you don't believe in yourself and your own abilities as a club or a team or player or manager or whatever, then it's difficult to achieve anything. So we need to keep going, keep improving, keep pushing. You're welcome.
Right, we're going to move over to our friends on the Zoom now, who are we're still under immediate embargo. We'll start with James from PLP, please.
Hiya, Thomas. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Hi, James.
Apologies for not being in the room.
No problem.
I'm just wondering, you talked about bravery, you talked about belief. Was the key thing about winning a game like Everton that the players are reminded of the benefits of being brave? Do you know what I mean? That they don't think twice about it perhaps now because they've seen the results of it.
Yeah, I think that's a part of it, definitely. What I really liked was again the approach we had to the game. First half, we took initiative. We went out there, wanted to do it our way, and we got rewarded from the first half. Second half, a combination of we're 1-0 up, and that almost always gives the other team an opportunity to push forward for whatever reason. And then maybe towards the end, combination of Everton doing well and we doing everything we want to get the 3 points, defending with our lives. I prefer we were a little bit high up the pitch, but that's sometimes not possible.
But almost an opportunity now to get those good habits back in, isn't it? The clean sheet, the bravery, the pressing.
Yeah, from the defensive side of the game was a massive thing to us. I was so pleased with our structure, our compactness, our aggressiveness in the duels and the pressure. I think that was a massive thing. And on top of that, the performance from Alvaro.
And just a final one from me. You've won at West Ham, you drew at Palace. Is there an extra energy about the place when it comes to games in London?
Definitely, it means something. A local derby is always a big thing. It's less travel from our fantastic fans, and we are looking forward to embrace one of the biggest moments and games in this season. I would say away to Tottenham in front of 60,000. We can't wait.
Fantastic. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Phil Parry, please.
Afternoon, Thomas. Sorry I can't be there. Just a quickie. You said about obviously wanting to play the style that you want to. How important is patience, though, from the players to not overdo it, to push it too far until they're in a position where they can play the way you want to play, especially in the Premier League?
Yeah. Hi, Phil. I think it's a combination. For example, if you look at the first half against Everton, I think we tried to build from behind. We tried to be composed. We tried to dominate on the ball, which in spells was fairly good. And second half, a combination of us maybe on the day just didn't have the quality, throwing the ball away too quickly. Maybe didn't have enough composure. Just thinking about defending. I don't know, but that's the spells where I like us to do more, to play more, to keep the ball better. And that's the thing we are constantly working on. And I think this season so far has been going a little bit up and down in that area. We had some fantastic games. For example, the first half against Wolves, first half against West Ham, first half against Leicester. Extremely good on the ball, doing what we want. So, but be consistent in that area. It takes time.
And how positive was it for Alvaro, and how does he feel now coming back into training after a clean sheet? You know, it's a difficult start for him in the Premier League, but to keep a clean sheet, and as you pointed out when we chatted on Sunday, you know, a really good save second half in particular. That must have actually given him another step up in confidence when it comes to being a Premier League player.
100%. I think we all need that, no matter what role or position we have. That defining moment is maybe a big word to put on it, but defining performance, or where we just, oh, you know what, I belong here. I can perform here. I can actually do well. There was definitely a bit of extra spring in his step today, walking into the training ground, and he was very good in training again. And we have been practicing the kicking, so hopefully that's also going to a high level on Thursday.
And I know there are still players missing and waiting to come back to fitness, but you know, Mateus and Mads Beck and Johan all sitting on the bench, for example. The options for you as a coach going into a very busy period improve with more players being available.
So important, crucial. Also to try to change games. That is so important that we have more players back going into a tough run of games, which we're really looking forward to. We're really, really excited about it. but it's more that hopefully, touch wood, we have had our how can I say luck against us in terms of injuries. So hopefully we just go clean through without any injuries, but then suspensions can come and so on. So it's important to have fresh and fit players.
And finally, for me, obviously, you have played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the new stadium. It's a magnificent stadium. It was empty, effectively, last time you were there. It's got a great big south stand, 79,000 plus 60-odd thousand plus fans. Big stadia can be great encouragement for the home team, but can they also, on the flip side, if you get your game going and if you frustrate the home side, they can always also play into the away team's hands.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can say there's two sides of the coin. No doubt, if they get things going, Tottenham, it can be a very, very difficult place to go to. But if it's not working and we are defending well, aggressive, going forward, then that can maybe be very quiet. I think that's part of it, and we hope that we can make it not as noisy as possible.
Brilliant. Best of luck Thursday. Thanks for your time today, Thomas.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Right, we're still under immediate embargo. Jerry Cox, please, from Haters.
Hi, Thomas. Are you well?
I'm well, Gary. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. I just wondered, going back to that game last year, and you obviously had a setback with that disallowed goal, controversially. But do you feel that perhaps now this team they've got more belief, they would come back from that sort of adversity a little bit more?
Yeah, I would say we have had a quite strong mentality last year, but I think it's all about constantly develop that part of the game, because the mental side of the game about staying in the game, bouncing back not only from game to game, but as important in games, as you just referred to, all those small situations or hits that hit. You get a hit, you need to stand up again, go again. I think that's so important because it's 90 minutes, and no teams in the world are going to be on top of the game throughout 90 minutes.
And I mean, those performances this season, even the ones where you didn't win against Chelsea, for example, or against Liverpool, the draw and beating Arsenal, does that give those players the belief that they deserve to be standing toe to toe with these big clubs and big teams, big players?
Definitely. I think that's important. As I said earlier, with the confidence, it's come from training well every day, but also performance in games. So the performance against Chelsea, yes, we didn't win, but it just showed, we can hurt teams if we are on top of our game. So that's definitely a confidence we're bringing into this game.
And just finally, what's the mood been around the camp since Sunday, or since the win?
Good, obviously. I don't think you can find any football person, coach, staff member, player that says that not say after a win. There's always maybe just a tiny extra smile. But I think in general, it's one of our strengths. We are very consistent in what we are doing. We try to come in with energy and a smile every single day to the training ground.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, I think that's us done under the immediate embargo. So we now move on to everything for